Where'd you go to university at?
I went to Fordham at Lincoln Center.
Why? Why so far away?
Well,
Wait, Fordham's at Lincoln Center?
Fordham in New York, yeah, is at Lincoln. Well, they have two campuses. They have a campus in the Bronx, and they also have a campus at Lincoln Center. And the campus at Lincoln Center is the like more artsy campus.
Did not know that.
So I went to that campus, but again, like I mean, I think I went there because I was like, oh, I'd like to be able to do plays, but I didn't think I was going to study theater. Then I did end up majoring in theater.
You were good going that far away from home?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I knew that I didn't
wanted to get as far away as possible.
I knew that I wanted to be on the East Coast. Like I wanted to be. I mean, I don't think I applied. I didn't apply to any schools on the West Coast.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? What? Why?
I
just over it.
I just wanted to go far afield. I think I just wanted to like go somewhere else. And I was really interested in being in New York City also. Yeah. But and NYU was like wildly out of my price range.
Well, Fordham at Lincoln Center sounds pricey too.
No, I had
Lincoln Center. You're so fancy.
No. It was unbelievably affordable.
Really?
My daughter's preschool is more expensive. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you when I say that my daughter's preschool cost more than a year of my college.
That's insane.
Yeah. So
I have so many thoughts.
It's partly that my college was actually not that expensive. And I had a pretty decent.
That's crazy though to me. Like, I didn't go home. I went like 2 hours away to college, but I feel like it was nice to know that my home wasn't that far away. I feel like that would kind of stress me out.
I think I really wanted to. I mean, I went to London like shortly thereafter, and I mean like in the middle of school, and studied in London. I think I really wanted to be like
see the world.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And like I have this like vivid memory of going to visit a friend of mine who was at Vassar, which is in Poughkeepsie.
Okay, yeah.
And it was like I don't know, maybe like a month after I'd gotten to school, and I went to the Port Authority and took a bus from the Port Authority. And this is in 1993. So New York was a lot shittier.
Yeah. Before Giuliani kicked everybody out.
Yeah. So I have this memory of like going to the Port Authority, and I bought my bus ticket and I went to use the bathroom, and there was a lady like shooting up in the bathroom, and I was like, oh my God. And I turned around and walked out, and I was like, I'll just hold it until I get on the bus. And the feeling of getting off of the bus after the trip back at Port Authority and going back to my dorm was like the greatest feeling ever. It was like, I did this. I can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
it sounds like Catcher in the Rye.
Like it was like total freedom. Like I was like, I can go and do anything. I did it all by myself. I'm 18. I can do whatever. So I think
That's
I had
impressive.
like a yen to be.
What is it like though, being an 18-year-old in the city? I love asking that question. Were you like nervous? Were you, other than obviously, or were you excited? Were you too naive to be nervous?
I think I was too naive to be nervous. I look back on things that I did, and I think like, wow, you are lucky, girl. Like you are lucky. I don't know how that worked out like as well as it did,
right? Because
it should not have,
right?
So I think a little too naive to be nervous. I remember it being super loud. Like I now I don't think of it as loud, but like I could not have a conversation with somebody on the street for the first couple months. I was like, that's so loud here. Why is this place so loud? But also I remember like immediately loving it, like immediately feeling like, oh my God, like just there's so much energy and stuff.
That's what I was just gonna say. If you're an outgoing type, which I feel like you became once you got all your friends.
Yeah. Once I met all my like theater nerd friends.
You get like an energy from it. It like feeds you.
Totally. And there's also like, this is like a weird thing. There's like a beautiful privacy, like public privacy to New York, like where you're like on the streets in there and everybody's around, but everybody's in their own world, but you're like kind of with people at the same time. Right. So you're like simultaneously like alone, but also in a community. Right. I don't know. It's kind of,
well, that's why Billy on the Street is such a fun show because it breaks up that sort of ants marching energy of New York.
Jumps into like your otherwise like you're kind of like this
intimate world in your headphones or whatever.
Yes.
Okay, so what made you switch to theater major? What was the
Honestly,
break of the camel's back?
the needle, the straw.
Straw.
Right, it's not the needle. It's the needle in the haystack, and it's the straw.
I love that both of us didn't know.
So great. I think. Well, I auditioned for a play.
Okay, at school.
Yeah, and the head of the theater department was like, "You should audition to be a theater major," and I was like, "Nah, I don't think so. I think I'm just going to do a play." And then I did the play, and I was like, "Wait, why am I not doing theater?" And it kind of all was downhill from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it a conservatory?
No, it was a BA.
Okay.
But it was like really heavily focused on like reading theatrical literature, a lot of like reading Shakespeare, reading plays, theater history, all that. But yeah, I you know what? I think I didn't take seriously the idea that like acting was something that grown-ups did. Like I think I just really was like, no, you're gonna like become a teacher or something like that. Like I don't think I was like, people get to be actors when they grow up.
Yeah, you definitely don't think that growing up in like Anchorage or Seattle.
No.
That's not, I didn't think that growing up in Minnesota.
Yeah, no.
It's a weird thought.
It's a weird thought.
So when you graduated, did you try to be a teacher or something? Or at that point you're like, let's act, baby?
Well, I had like a moment of panic. I was working at...
You were so sure earlier, though.
I know. I was working at Applause Theater Bookstore, making like $6 an hour, not much more than my library page experience. So I was like, there's no way I can live in New York City on this pitiful salary. And I had this like moment of panic where I was still living in the dorms, like the summer after I had finished.
Yeah.
And I was like, Dad, what do I do? I don't know what I like have no sellable skills. Like I can't do any, I don't know how to, I don't even know, like, I don't know, whatever the going computer things were at the time. I was like, I don't know what to do. And he was like, well, have you ever thought about car sales?
What?
So great. He was like, you studied theater, that you're going to be really, how to
good
like
to talk
be personable.
To people.
You're comfortable talking to people. And, I think you should consider it because there's a real gap in the market for women and luxury car sales. And I was like, it was a great conversation because I was like, wait, why am I trying to think of something else to do? You just spent like the last 4 years studying theater.
Right.
Maybe you should just try and do some theater.
Right.
And then I got like insanely lucky. And
how so?
I got a couple of jobs like right out of school. I did a job where I understudied two wonderful actresses, Joanna Going and Elizabeth Marvel, in a production of Miss Alliance at the Roundabout.
On Broadway?
This was their off-Broadway theater, but the Roundabout it's that same theater. They have off-Broadway and on-Broadway theater. So I did that job.
How'd you get that? You just auditioned?
One of my theater professors
that's
knew,
cool.
And he was like, you should go to this audition.
That's amazing.
And so I got that job.
That's not luck. That's putting the groundwork in.
Well, yes and no. I mean, yeah, it is. It is that, but it's also just
you clearly liked your work at
it's
school.
It's also just like good luck, like
good
that
timing.
He knew those people and those, and like whatever, and that anyway.
Yeah.
It's like that magical combination that is always required in this business, right? And then, and I think this really is just good luck. I happened to get an agent out of my senior like showcase.
Yeah.
And I got a job on a soap and did a job on a soap.
So you do the showcase where you just do like a few scenes for a bunch of agents.
Yep.
She signs you as theatrical or everything?
Both theatrical and commercial.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
And then she just started sending you out right away?
Yeah.
And the soap opera was the first, second, third audition?
I mean, like 6 months after I graduated from school. So it was like really like in retrospect, I'm like, that's just the insane luck of that. just because like I had an income,
Yeah.
you know, and I mean, it's important anywhere, but like in New York, I mean, I can honestly say like, I don't know if I'd had to like be a waiter for years or a bartender for years, which I did do a little bit of, but if I'd had to do that,
did?
I did.
In college or something?
No, after college.
Oh, for that 6-month time. Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
When were you the library page?
That was in high school
Oh.
in Seattle. I was working at the bookstore in college and then quickly realized there was no way I could live on that paycheck.
Right.
And then a friend of mine worked at the Bowery bar and she got me in there.
Okay, so how many auditions did it take to get the soap?
I don't know. I mean, a lot.
It was a lot, really?
Oh, you mean to get that job? That specific job?
Yeah.
Oh, so, well, I guess like 3 or 4.
That
because
seems like a lot, doesn't it?
It is a lot. You know why? Because
I don't know the world of soap opera.
Yeah. Well, it's a long time ago. They almost don't exist anymore.
Do they?
There's none in New York anymore.
Oh, interesting. But there's still some on TV.
Are there?
I don't know. You guys get the wrong.
I thought they were all gone off the air.
I haven't watched them, so I'm not helping the cause.
Well, anyway. I auditioned.
It was like 3 or 4 auditions.
I auditioned. They called me back, and then I got a screen test, and they like brought me in and did a screen test, and I didn't get the job. But apparently nobody got the job. So then my agent called me like 2 weeks later and was like, "They actually want to see you for this again. They want to do your hair differently."
What?
It's all about the hair. So they brought me back in and did my hair differently, and then I got the job.
What? Like how differently? Bangs? Your roots?
No,
Fix your
like
roots?
I have naturally curly hair, and I had worn like wavy hair, and I had worn it naturally wavy, and instead when I went the next time, they made it really straight.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
And they liked me with straight hair, but not with wavy hair.
Okay, how many episodes of that did you end up doing?
I did a 2-year contract.
So I don't know how many episodes. I don't watch those.
I don't know how many episodes. I mean, let's say hundreds.
Hundreds. That's crazy.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just
No, that sounds about
but
right.
like 2 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's not like you're in every episode, but like a lot. Like there would be days where you'd have like 50 pages of dialogue in one.
That's
day.
crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. It's really unlike anything I've ever done since.
Yeah.
It's totally nuts.
Yeah.
Because, you do go in and you're like, okay, and by the way, you got those 50 pages of dialogue like the night before.
Right. It's almost like a multicam, but more faster.
Yeah.
More faster.
Yeah, more faster. More faster. And it is like a multicam, or at least it was when I did it. There were multicam. I mean, there were like 3 cameras at the same time, almost. Maybe even more than that sometimes. I feel like sometimes there were like 5.
How many episodes would you knock out at a time? Do you do like 5 in a day?
You could do 5 in a day.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you're 8, you're 22 at this point?
Yeah,
23?
I was 21. I did it from 21 to 23.
So what is that like? I feel like to be thrust into that is just super intense.
So crazy. It was so crazy. And also like there were not on that show like a lot of 21, 22-year-olds. So like I also was like, wait, I'm hanging. There were like all these old people there. Like I was like, and I mean they were like 30. They weren't actually old, but like I was like, oh my god, everybody's so old. And like I just felt like I didn't know. Like it was like hard to find common ground.
Yeah,
let's put it that way. So weirdly or not, I guess. I still did all these like off Broadway plays with all of my friends from college.
Yeah. Really? You had the time?
Well, I would ask them and they would say as long as they would, if I could go, then it was fine.
That's amazing.
So I would like rehearse with my friends on the weekends and then do like a show at Nada or House of Candles or I don't know. There was this place called New York Performance Works that has since been turned into a bank. But like all these like old, like off Broadway theaters.
That's amazing.
And sometimes I wouldn't make the shows, but rarely. And they would just know that like if Annie can't make the show, that we have somebody else to fill in and stuff.
That's super cool.
It was fun.
When you auditioned for the soap, did you know it was going to be like 100+ episodes? Did you know it was a long run?
I knew that it was like a 2-year contract that I was auditioning for, but I had no idea what it meant. Do you know what I mean? Like I had no idea like what, like I asked my agent when he called and told me that I'd gotten the job. I hung up the phone and then I immediately called him back and I was like, they know that I haven't ever done this before, right? Like, do they know that I've never, because I had never done any on camera, anything at that point. So I was like, are they okay with it?
I love that. I love that honesty. I feel like all the actors go through that, where you feel like you're fake for a little bit.
All right. Do they mind that I've never? No, I really was like, oh no.
Well, okay, not to get too specific, but on a scale of commercial money versus movie money, where's the soap money? Is it comparable to commercials, or is it more like a TV show?
It's not like a regular on like a network television
right,
show.
Of course not.
Way less than that.
Right.
But I would say, I would say it's like if you got like
or is it?
Because I've never had like a commercial campaign. So I'm like, I was about to like, it's like a commercial campaign, but I'm like, I really have no idea.
Is it the same day rate as like?
No, there's a different pay structure. Okay. In fact, at that time, because that was SAG and AFTRA weren't together yet, and so at that time it was all under AFTRA. It wasn't under SAG, so it was like a totally different pay structure.
That's crazy.
But you were paid per episode, and it was like you got negotiated. They would negotiate a contract for you that was like, X per episode and X number of episodes per week. So it would be like, you have to be guaranteed, like however much per episode, and then at least 3 episodes per week, or 2 episodes per week, or whatever it is. So that
helps you out.
It was,
because if you're doing 5
really
episodes in a day and you get paid per episode, that's a huge help.
No, exactly. It was a big deal because after those 2 years, I paid off all my college debt.
Damn. I started investing for your daughter's preschool.
I know, exactly. I wish that I had. When I left the soap, I had saved money because I had been like, okay, I'm not going to be here forever.
Right.
Like, I'm going to save money so that I can make some like good choices when I leave. And one of the women, a much older woman, Kathleen Widows, who's a fantastic theater actress who was on the soap at the time, her husband was a real estate broker, and he was like, you saved some money, you should buy an apartment. And I was like, well, like how much would I have to put down? And he was like, like if you get like a studio apartment, like in a not great neighborhood, like the East Village, you could put down, between $20,000 and $30,000 for like a 1-bedroom apartment to, so you're spending like $250,000-$300,000. And I was like, that's crazy. That's so much money. And now when I think back, I mean,
so you didn't do it?
No, I didn't do it. I didn't do it because I was like I really want to this is like my nest egg so that I can do it. And I just had like this is the story of my life. I have no financial good sense whatsoever. But like when I think back on it now, I'm like, oh my God, what if I had bought that apartment in like 1998?
Yeah.
I'd be killing it.
Crushing it.
Unfortunately, I did not.
So what was your mindset at this time? You called getting the soap lucky. At the time, did you feel like it was lucky, or were you cocky and confident that you're like, I'm on a soap? I felt
really mixed about it, interestingly. I mean, I felt like on the one hand, like I was well aware that it was super lucky from the point of view of just like being able to pay to live in New York City and
right after graduation.
And after graduating from school. And also from the point of view of like just a different kind of learning experience about acting. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, obviously I was doing really different things on the soap than I did in college. And like, it was a totally different world that I was frankly not prepared for at all by my college experience, not that they should have been preparing me for it, but like, it was great to have that. That said, like, I think it's really not where I imagined myself. And so there was like a weird disconnect between like, if I had predicted, I would have been like, I'm going to be doing like regional Shakespeare. You know what I mean? Like something along those lines. And so it was a weird, like, I think part of why I did all that off Broadway stuff at the same time was because like I felt more at home.
Right.
With like my college buddies doing, weird Mac Wellman plays and stuff like that.
So at the end of your run, did you want to leave? Did they kill you off? What happened there?
I wanted to leave. They eventually,
because you did 3 years, right? Or 4?
No, I did.
You only did the 2.
I did the 2. And then I they asked me to like stay for an extra however many episodes to like finish out the storyline. And they made my character go crazy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Was that fun?
It was the only thing that I was a little weird about it was like, it happened to be that the soap that I was on, which was As the World Turns, was like the soap that my grandma watched.
No.
Before, even like well before I would like, she watched it.
Poor Graham.
And she was like very upset by like
course.
some of the things that I did when my character went insane. Yeah. She was like, that's not you. And I was like, well, no, that's not.
That's hilarious. Is that why do they? I wonder. Is that why they make 2-year contracts? Because they want to try to get through the whole story of the actor.
I don't really know. I don't know why they picked the number of years for contracts. I have no idea. It seemed arbitrary to me.
Yeah, I wonder if that's like the normal length of a.
I don't know.
Interesting.